श्यामलां मातरं वन्दे मातरम् शुभ्रज्योत्स्नां पुलकितयामिनीं तुल्यकुसुमितद्रुमदलशोभिनीं सुहासिनीं सुमधुरभाषिणीं सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरम् कोटि कोटि कंठ कलकल निनाद करले कोटि कोटि भुजै धृत खर करवाले अबला अनुमारक बोले बहुबल धारिणी नमामि तारिणी त्रिपुदल वारिणी मातरं वन्दे मातरम् तुमि विद्या तुमि धर्म तुमि रिधि तुमि मर्मा त्वं हि प्राणाः शरीरे बाहुते तुमि मा शक्ति हृदये तुमि मा भक्ति तुम्हारी प्रतिमा गढ़ी मंदिरे मंदिरे वन्दे मातरम् त्वं हि दुर्गा दश प्रहरण धारिणी कमला कमलदल विहारिणी वाणी विद्यादायिनी नमामि त्वां नमामि कमला ममला सुजला सुफलां मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् श्यामलां सरलां सुस्मितां भूषितां धरणीं भरणीं मातरं वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम्
भारत माता की जय।
Thank you all for your cooperation. With a view to enhance our experience from the program, I appeal that all of us adhere to a few basic ground rules for this webinar. Please keep your microphones muted all the time during the session. You can reserve your questions for the dedicated Q&A time at the end of the session. The speaker will be more than happy to answer your queries. In case, if you still want to ask any questions, you can always use the Zoom chat box and we will respond at the end. If possible, you can also keep your videos off so that we get a better bandwidth, and kindly ensure that there's no noise in the environment so that when you unmute, others are not disturbed and there is no background noise. Thank you. Before we get into the session, we have a special guest amongst us. Let me introduce her, and I would request this special guest to share a few thoughts on about our company and her own views. Ms. Meera is a prolific innovation and entrepreneurship enabler, experienced in multiple disciplines spanning technology, business, entrepreneurship, manufacturing, research, and academia. One powerful insight she has gained from over 2 decades of experience is that a huge innovative potential and technological capacity of the youth of this nation remains latent and untapped. She firmly believes that such potential, when channelized productively, has the power to disrupt the status quo and solve some of the critical challenges in our country. Her interests cover a broad spectrum, from architecting programs and processes that lead to dynamic, sustainable entrepreneurial ecosystem, to building transformation policies and programs for institutions, industry, and the government. Her passion lies in building strong relationships and broad networks across the country to realize a vision of entrepreneurship, education, and ecosystem. Currently, Ms. Meera is heading the design, operations, and overall execution of the innovation program at Forge Accelerator. In this role, she is leading the execution of a portfolio of innovation programs designed as role model initiatives, bringing together academia, industry, and government in an open innovation platform that transforms ideas into technologically advanced solutions and ventures. And there's much more. I think I can stop with this. The list keeps extending. So, Ms. Meera, may we have a few words from you, please? Madam, you are muted. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Very good evening. First, congratulations to all the participants who have onboarded to this program. Yesterday, I had a very brief conversation with Arun sir and Manoj, who's organizing this content curriculum and the coursework. It was very interesting to see. So first, congratulations to each one of you who have joined this program to advance your knowledge and upskill yourself and become ready for the future. The pandemic has very clearly put us in a paradox in the last 1 year, right? We have started asking the why not questions, for which we were asking the why questions earlier. So why should we do something? Today, the question to ask is why not I do something? Uncertainty has become the new normal. Unknowns are going to be that has always been the way in businesses, in life. But today, the pandemic has really given us the visibility to that in a greater extent. So it's going to be a world of unknowns more consciously that we are going to face. And to prepare for that, enable us and prepare ourselves for that future, I think creativity and innovation, design thinking are very important skills that one has to inherit. When I heard the topic creativity, innovation, and when I looked at design thinking, my PhD basically comes in lean management, in industrial manufacturing. And from there, I moved into entrepreneurship education, working with academia for many years, building content curriculum of how can we create, give skills and competencies to students in college so that they can become entrepreneurs of the future. To today, working in an incubator, helping innovations unfold from lab to become commercial products and businesses that scale. In all of this facets, either it is lean manufacturing, lean management implemented in a manufacturing facility, to entrepreneurial education, courses, content that I developed, to what we have today in doing the incubation process, where we essentially manage innovation. The most important characteristic has been design thinking. That plays the most first, I would say, from the first principles of doing anything. So that's a very important skill that each one have to take home. And if that could become through this experience, and also learning from learned people like Arun sir from across the globe, Design thinking is essentially about being more empathizing, right? How much more can you fit into another's shoe to understand from a customer centric perspective? Design thinking is everything about collaboration. Today, power is more about networks, and collaboration enables you to become that powerful. So design thinking is all about collaboration. Design thinking is about being iterative. So the time to transform from an idea to a product to an innovation or a market is not very huge. That the life cycle is reducing every day. Every day there are new products, new ideas, new policies, new innovations coming into play. So it's very, very important that we learn the iterative approach that design thinking brings to us, right? These are some of the basic fundamentals that the design thinking principles hold an individual to acquire skills that will stay for life. And I see this course giving you a great platform to learn those skills. And I'm sure, I have always felt either lean thinking or design thinking, which has a lot of commonality. I always believe these are not just skills for your business. These are not skills for you to build your products, but these are life skills. Exactly the words Arun sir told me yesterday when I had a conversation with him. I couldn't agree more with him, because that's a very strong belief that I have, though it will sound very philosophical to start with, but that's a very strong foundational principle for individuals, whether in life, in family, or in business. So I represent an organization called Forge, which is a technology business incubator. We work at a national scale to catalyze industrial digital transformation in collaborating startups with MSMEs, industry, and government agencies, so that we can help them accelerate innovation and growth. And primarily, simpler solrona, the job we do is managing innovation. So you are going to learn innovation. The work we do is essentially manage innovation. How do you manage a finance? You mitigate risk in finance. And the way we manage innovation is help mitigate risk in innovation to individuals, to startups, to student innovators, to MSMEs, to corporate houses, to government research firms, which invest millions and millions of dollars of money into new innovations, applying technology. So that's the core, in simple terms, that we do as a business. Happy to connect. I am available if there are any questions. I think you have a great session awaiting you. So I am not taking a lot of time away between you and Arun sir, who will be doing the session. So looking forward, if there are any specific questions and if I can contribute in any way, I'll be happy to. Thank you, Durga. Thank you for the opportunity. Looking forward.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you for those insights. Friends, Ms. Meera's very clearly explained the need for innovation and creativity. That's exactly the session that we're going to have today. Well, for those of you who are new here, let me give a brief introduction about our speaker today. Mr. Arun, Managing Director of our company, Top League Trading and Business Consulting, is a multifaceted individual with over 4 decades of experience as a business leader and an entrepreneur. As a senior management team member for over 30 years at several leading companies, he has built and managed organizations in the face of significant regulatory, technological, and industrial change. These experiences have given him a ringside view of the shifting paradigms in the business world and the strategies that need to be employed to address them effectively. Having built multiple high-performing teams from the ground up, he has an unmatched understanding of leadership and teamwork and the importance of these two attributes for success in the corporate world. Over the last 30 years, Mr. Arun has conducted over 60 management development workshops featuring professionals from varied industries in areas such as team management, performance enhancement, change management, innovation in business, strategic decision making, brand management, employee employee engagement, negotiations, and conflict resolution. As a business strategy expert, Mr. Arun mentors business leaders and entrepreneurs to help and guide during these difficult times. To say particularly during this lockdown period, during this pandemic time, he has trained over 3,000 odd people who are benefited out of this, and of which one is myself. I have immense pleasure in introducing Mr. Arun to all of you. Mr. Arun, kindly take over and.
Durga Prasad sir, this Manoj here. Take a minute.
Sorry, Mr. Manoj. Sorry, Mr. Manoj.
I'll take in between.
Yeah, please.
This for all the participants today. The guest speaker is Dr. Meera. She's one of the. In this part of the country, Forge is one of the incubation centers which does a lot of things, starting from environment to railways to whatnot. So if somebody is there in Coimbatore, I think you people should visit Forge. I think they allow people to visit Forge, and as a part of Forge from the incubation of Forge, at the start of Forge, it is a center which you people should visit, and I think you will get a lot of exposure by visiting Forge. So on behalf of Forge, I am telling, please go and visit the Forge Center at Coimbatore. You will have a lot of things starting from robotics or whatnot. So,
thank you, Manoj. Thank you. I didn't want to keep the focus on the company in the conversation, but just to add to the benefits of the audience, we are the knowledge and capability partner for innovation for defense excellence under Ministry of Defense. We are the strategic partner for many corporate accelerator programs. Currently, we are also doing the Global Vedanta Corporate Accelerator Program focused on sustainability and energy resources conservation. We are also the accelerating partner for lab to procurement for India's 100 smart cities under Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So these are some of the major key projects that we are currently working with, in addition to other services and products that we offer. Yesterday, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu unveiled 2 of our centers that we are setting up in partnership with Government of Tamil Nadu in Sri Perumbudur and Hosur, which is going to be an industrial innovation center. It will be called FORT, in the name of Fort St. George of Government of Tamil Nadu, a place to seed innovation, technology, entrepreneurship, startups, and commercial business ventures of the new industry, the future new industry of Tamil Nadu, which would be high value, who will be into high value manufacturing. So yeah, these are other background of where I come from.
International, not only national. So I just wanted to disturb you on this, Durga Prasad. Sorry for the interference.
Yeah,
that's absolutely fine. Thank you. Thank you for those, because many people will definitely get benefit out of this. And as Mr. Manoj said, those of you who are in Coimbatore, please do visit Forge. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Manoj. Thank you, Ms. Meera. Sir, Arun sir, please, you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Durga Prasad, for a wonderful introduction. Thank you, Ms. Meera, for talking and highlighting the importance of creativity and innovation. And thank you, participants, friends, for giving me one evening of your life. I sincerely hope this turns out to be an investment for you. Before we start the session, I would like to ask a question to all of you. Am I allowed to ask a personal question? Yes, would one of you or a couple of you mute and tell me if it is okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now, my only request is only those of you who are going to answer the question unmute. The rest remain muted so that we can have a meaningful masterclass. See, a masterclass is all about interaction between us. And there, we need to be very careful, because if a person unmutes and waits for his turn, then, there might be a lot of disturbance. Don't do that. Only those who are going to answer, please unmute. Okay. My question is, whose life do you think, Mr. Sahu, I will get back to your answer about MSME. Can you please be patient till the end of the program? Yes. Now, whose life do you think was more purposeful and meaningful? 2 generations before you, that is your grandfather's life or your life? As you think over the question, I will share the screen. Once I share the screen, you can answer. Whose life do you think was more purposeful and meaningful? Your grandfather's life or your life? It's a very, very simple question. Please think over it and answer. Mr. Durga Prasad, is the screen visible?
Yes, visible.
Okay. Yes, my dear friends. Do I have an answer? Whose life do you think was more purposeful and meaningful?
Dr. Vinny Kumar says grandfather's life.
Yeah, please unmute and tell me. Because I would like to know why you feel your grandfather's life was more meaningful and purposeful.
Dr. Vinny Kumar, please unmute and say.
Anyone else?
Sagar Makwana says, for me, it is my life. Sagar, you can please unmute. And
Mr. Sagar, can you please unmute and tell me why you feel your life is more meaningful and purposeful?
Yeah, there's a lot of background noise here. I hope it doesn't disturb.
No issue. Tell me.
Yeah. From my perspective, if I'm just speaking for myself and no one else here, is that I think I'm going to look at my own life. I cannot vouch for what my grandfather did or how purposeful or meaningful he was. I'm going to look at what I am doing, and I feel that I am going to make more of a difference as a purpose in my life. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Come on, let's not keep waiting. Let's be fast. Anyone else would like to answer?
My life.
Yeah, Sampath here.
Yes, Mr. Sampath.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I mean, comparison, I don't feel it is right way to compare, but still on comparison, they had a different lifestyle and we are having a different lifestyle.
Okay.
We have a lot of networking facilities, luxury, which they did not have. They were deprived of it. The point is that we are able to reach certain things, even in our earlier age, which they have been struggling to get that even at their elderly age. That is one thing. And they did not have much distractions and their health was better. That's what I could say. Like in comparison, this is what I could feel.
Okay. My question is very simple, my dear friends. Whose life do you think was more purposeful? Your grandfather's life or your life?
That's what I mean. It is beyond comparison. But comparing with my age, I'm in the middle now. So in that case, it was more purposeful for them.
Okay, so you also feel that, like Dr. Vinit Kumar, that your grandfather's life was more purposeful.
Yeah, but the only point I wanted to say, they did not have much distractions. That's the point.
Okay. Now, anybody else?
This Mohan here. Mr. Arun, can I speak?
Yes, Mr. Mohan.
Yeah, Mr. Arun, I feel that my life is more purposeful compared to my grandfather's. The reason being that for the extent that I know about my grandfather, he has been living a life for himself, in the sense his view or his ambition or his purpose was not about what other people around him or what should be the future and all that, because probably that time it was not that advanced in his thinking. But if you compare my life, I have a purpose. It's not just I live for my life. I have a family, I have friends, I have a business, I have my profession, and more, my viewpoint is around so many things. And I also feel that the comfort level has gone up compared to the previous generation, though the complexities have risen. So that's my viewpoint.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to contribute?
Myself, Dr. Ram from Singapore.
Yes, Dr. Ram, tell me.
Yeah, I think my life is more purposeful and meaningful when compared to the olden days,
Yes.
grandfather time, because the ecosystem is entirely changing and challenging now for any individual or any community level or societal level. It is entirely challenging and changing. So the creation, innovation, and adequate amenities are very complex as of now, which was not that much complex in nature in those days.
Thank you, Dr. Ram. Anyone else would like to contribute?
So I'm Colonel Aditya Singhal here.
Yes, Colonel Aditya
I
Singhal.
also tend to agree with Dr. Ram and Mr. Girdhari. But my reasoning is that in my case, I did not see my grandfather because he passed out at a very early age. But those times they were living in a very close community. Wherein today's time we are a more open society. We've got large variety of avenues available to us to express ourselves, even after you have hung up your unit. Like for since I'm an army officer, I retired last year. So even after finishing one profession, you still have a lot of avenues available to you to contribute in a very positive manner to the society and to uplift the life of others. Whereas in those days, once a person is retired, then they did not have too much of facilities or avenues available to you them in this respect.
Thank you, Mr. Aditya Singhal, Colonel Aditya Singhal. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, all the participants, for your wonderful input. Now that brings us to the question, what has this question of whether your grandfather's life was more purposeful and meaningful or yours got to do with an introductory webinar for creativity and innovation? I'm sure you must be thinking about it. Do you realize, my dear friends, that we are at a watershed moment in the evolution of man and the evolution of this earth? Yes, a watershed moment. The world was never like this before, and what it was before, it is never going to be the same again. While our grandparents lived a life of values, I have no doubt about it that each and every one of our grandfathers have lived a life of great value system. That is why we are here, having accomplished so much in our life, because it's their genes which is, representing them through us. But they lived, they beget children, they gave them a good life, they looked after the society, they built a nation and passed on. But on our slender shoulder lies the responsibility of working to build a country and a time which will take care of future generations, which is going to have to deal with challenges created by COVID. Let us see what exactly I mean. If we are not going to do that, things are going to be very dicey. We can be one of those people who lament that we are alive at a period when COVID has struck, or we can be one of those who can cherish that we are today alive and capable to face the challenges and meet it and build a society and a nation which will be safe for our generations to come. That responsibility makes our life very purposeful. We cannot look at life ordinarily like others. There is this news item which was just come on 8th of February, January this year, that there is a surge in new COVID-19 cases worldwide and dim hopes for a speedy end to the pandemic. I'm reminded of 1918 Spanish influenza pandemic, which raged through the earth for 3 long years. It was a second wave which killed over 50 million people, 27 million from India alone. Please go back to history and see what it ravaged. We are now possibly at the beginning of the second pandemic, second wave. Not only this, Here is a report from 1st of February, which says, world braces for surge of corona variants. This virus is mutating at a phenomenal pace. Phenomenal pace. And with each mutant strain coming out, it is becoming more infectious. And here they say India has started the 1.3 billion, that is vaccination of the 130 crore people. And just 7 hours back, yes, my dear friends, just 7 hours back, there was a news item which came from Associated Press. The news item reads, India finds new cases of corona variant. There has been a massive surge in Maharashtra, which they were talking about in the TV today. There has been a surge in Kerala. Karnataka has shut its borders, brought in, travel regulations because it borders both Maharashtra and Kerala. India is preparing itself. And already the new variant has entered into this country. What does it mean? Elsevier's public health emergency collection, in one of their researchers say, using design thinking to respond to crisis, they call the corona pandemic, the COVID pandemic, as a wicked problem. You can see at the bottom, the wicked problem, keywords, design thinking, wicked problem, crisis management, B2B innovations. Wicked problem because the problem is indefinable. You can't define it. You don't know what it is going to do next. The route for the solution is unknown. There is no any specific route because our enemy is a totally omnipotent, omnipresent enemy. And we really do not know what the new normal should look like. We don't even know what the solution is. And design thinking is precisely meant for such complex problems. Here, there was a contest on creativity and innovation in times of crisis, was a research topic internationally. Within hours of the contest being open, 131 authors had submitted and the submission was closed because they could not handle it. The outbreak of COVID-19 disease has posed great challenges to the worldwide economy, and people's daily lives will have far-reaching consequences beyond the spread of the disease. At the same time, this crisis is also a strong driver of creativity and innovation. This is what the contest subject is all about. And to top it all, recently there was an article from Ernst & Young, among the world leaders in business consulting, who say, beyond COVID-19, will you define the new normal or are you going to watch it unfold? That's precisely what this webinar is all about. Are we going to equip ourselves with creativity, innovation, and design thinking, or are we going to sit and wait for this COVID pandemic to go away? And believe me, the transition into the new normal will be seamless. None of us will know, but we would have entered the new normal and find we are not fit for that if we are not going to equip ourselves. We find ourselves at that moment in history, which is a very typical moment during the course of this webinar. Within the next 5 minutes, you are going to see that moment. Now, where do we begin a webinar on creativity and innovation and design thinking in the context of the COVID pandemic, which has made it absolutely essential? As with everything else, my dear friends, the right place to begin is always the beginning. Let's go to the beginning and see what the road is all about. It was 4.6 billion years ago that Mother Earth was born. Now, most of you must be thinking that's a ridiculous place to begin. But what to do? That's the beginning. And it was 3 billion years ago that life first appeared on Earth, and that was in water. It was 360 million years ago that life came from water to land, and it was around 5 to 8 million years ago that man, as understood, appeared. But it was only 200,000 years ago that Homo sapiens, the species to which we belong, appeared on Earth. And my dear friends, you will be surprised to know that we and that person who appeared are in the same situation. Can any one of you tell me why I feel that the situation that the first earliest of Homo sapien found himself is the situation that we are in today? Can anyone unmute and tell me? Do I see anyone hazarding a guess? Maybe this is what is meant by pin drop silence. So you must be wondering, how am I going to link it? Fine. Just imagine 200,000 years ago when man appeared, Homo sapien appeared on earth. He had no historical data, no guiding beacon to tell him what the future is like. And where do we find ourselves today? COVID has destroyed all historical data. For decision making, man has perennially depended upon historical data to extrapolate and understand how the future is going to look. You have no historical data today because the future is totally dark. You really do not know what the situation is going to be. Work norms have changed. Social equations have changed. Man, being a social animal, is being now told not to mix with people, to maintain social distancing. Everything has changed. And it is going to change even further as it looks. Because if this pandemic continues for some more time, there is going to be a lot more changes. Under the circumstances, there is no way out but for us to depend upon our own creative abilities to chart a course forward. And the funny part of it is, our default behavior is creative. And somewhere along the line, as we grew up, this creativity got suppressed and we became rigid, inflexible thinkers. Let us understand the journey of this Homo sapien who started his life 200,000 years ago to evolve into what you and I are, to understand creativity, innovation, and design thinking. The protagonist of this program is COVID, who has totally changed the situation. And to reach here, we have to understand these two people, caveman number 1 and caveman number 2. The first two people of the Homo sapien species. Why is it that these two people are looking so perplexed, and what is caveman number 2 doing, scratching his head? And why is caveman number 1 preoccupied? We will be able to understand it when we realize that they have just escaped the jaws of death. They were climbing a hillside when there was a sudden avalanche, and they somehow barely managed to escape it. This was the first time they had faced an avalanche, and caveman number 2 is exhorting caveman number 1 to move away from there so that they can leave that place alive. But caveman number 1 seems to be preoccupied with something. And what is he preoccupied with? He remembers seeing that round objects were moving much faster down the hill than jagged objects and long objects. In the avalanche, there were lots of rocks, round rocks coming down the hillside, and it was rushing down, while the trees and other jagged objects were moving much slower. He could absorb it. And friends, the first of the creative mindset had made its appearance, the absorb mindset. With great difficulty, caveman number 2 persuades caveman number 1 to move away from there. Caveman number 1 doesn't say anything. It's lingering in his mind that the round objects were moving much faster. He starts moving along with him. After going some distance, he suddenly sees that on a cliff top, he sees some of his tribesmen standing, and 2 of them near the precipice of the cliff, they were shaking their hands. He suddenly remembers that the earlier night, they were all discussing that they have seen some things flying in the sky. And these 2 people were telling that, why can't we also fly? Then we can be safe from the animals. And today morning, when caveman number 1 was coming, after collecting some pumpkins, one of the pumpkin had fallen out of his hand, fallen to the ground, and it had split open. From a distance, he could see that the caveman's head was round in shape, and he could immediately see in his mind's eye that if they jump off the cliff, the possibilities are they will go and hit the ground, and like the pumpkin, the head will also split, and these people will die. He rushes to them, stops them, tells them what he has seen in his mind's eye, tries to relate it, and explain to them that they should not be foolhardy and should not jump off the cliff, and takes them away from there. The second of the creative mindset had appeared on earth. And what is the second mindset? The envision mindset. He could see what would happen in the future if such a thing was done by these people. The 6 of them, these 4 cavemen, and the caveman number 1 and 2 start moving towards their camp. As they are moving, dark clouds appear in the sky. There is heavy rain and thunder. Now, all these cavemen could do was they could, normally under those circumstances, what do? They look for a big tree and go and stand under it. They start looking for a big tree. They find a big tree, but what they see is lots of animals and birds were sitting on that tree and standing under it. They feel scared. They don't have any weapons with them to save themselves. And they are very small in number, just 6 of them. So they look for a nearby tree. They see a smaller tree. They go and stand under that. They are standing and there is a raging storm. Suddenly there is a huge crash. A burst of lightning comes and hits the tree under which the animals are standing. There is a burst of flame. For the first time, these cavemen see flame. They see there is huge light. There is warmth. And another funny thing, they see that the animals and birds are getting burned. They're getting roasted. They get scared. They see, what is this? What's happening? It's a new experience for them. They stand there and keep watching. And as they are watching, the storm is raging on one side. The fire is raging on the other, defying the storm. And the animals and birds were getting roasted. Mesmerized as they were watching, slowly the rain subsides. The fire also subsides. And the whole area has the smell of burning flesh. First time they smell burning flesh. The flesh which they used to eat raw is lying roasted in front of them. Caveman number 1 picks up courage, goes to it, slightly plucks a small piece and eats it, and finds it very tasty. Very, very tasty. He calls his friends. He says, come, let's have good meals. And as they are eating, he connects that the burnt flesh, the roasted flesh is much tastier. He connects that lightning struck the tree. That lightning strike on the tree created something which is there in front of him, which is giving light, which is giving warmth. At the same time, it is also roasting the food which he used to have, raw, and that food is now tasting much better. The third of the creative mindset had exposed itself in man, the connect mindset. They have a good dinner. They have food. All the 6 of them eat to their fill. Then caveman number 1 tells, here is an excellent opportunity. We have a lot of food in front of us. Why don't we take it to the tribe and give them also so that they will also enjoy? They take the meat, the roasted meat, and start moving towards the camp. As they are moving, they realize that the entire area is dark and there is a beautiful smell of the roasted meat emanating all around them. It has engulfed them. Suddenly, what happens? Animals attack them from nowhere. They attack them and kill 2 of these people. The rest 4 escape with whatever meat is left out. And they escape only because the 2 who got killed were also devoured by the animals, and the meat they were carrying became, the animals got attracted and they were pouncing on those meat. This got caveman number 1 to start thinking, what happened? Why did these animals which don't come out in the night they have come out and they have attacked us. We lost 2 people. He's able to connect that there was a lot of good smell of the roasted meat. He could connect that the animals also ate those meat. The 4th of the creative mindset had appeared, reason mindset. But he felt extremely sad. He felt sad at having lost 2 of his tribesmen, and he started thinking that I have to let the world know that whatever may happen, don't ever carry meat which is smelling good out into the open, otherwise you will attract animals. Now, how do I do that? He finds out a method. He starts painting. And as he is painting, he realizes, he starts making cave paintings, and he realizes that slowly his sorrow is being catheterized. It is going away from him. There is a lightness coming into him. The heaviness of having lost his 2 tribesmen is reducing, and he is becoming more happy. The 5th of the creative mindset had appeared, the transform mindset. And as he was transforming, he got into an exhilarating mood, and he started celebrating having understood all these things. He had developed an absorb mindset. He could absorb information. He could envision what can happen. He could connect the various events. He could reason out how things were happening. And he had found out how to get rid of the sorrow and the pain. And he started playing music. When his friend comes and tells him what he's asking, he tells him, why don't you also hum? Let me play to that. As he's doing that, he gets an idea. He thinks those boulders, those rocks were moving much faster down the hillside than the jagged things. These animals could come and attack us only because we were moving much slower. Is there not a way by which we can also move fast like those rocks? Then the animals will not be able to catch us. The 6th of the creative mindset had appeared, the flow mindset. With this idea in his mind, our caveman number 1 picks up whatever weapons he has and starts chiseling a rock which is there near him and comes up with this shape. As he is looking at it, he realizes that something is wrong with it. It does not match what I have seen. He realizes that it is not the shape which enabled fast movement. The 7th of the mindset, evaluate mindset, had come. And with the help of these 7 mindsets, the first wheel was invented. Friends, the invention of the wheel signaled the evolution of man and his movement into an animal which was going to rule from the top of the animal kingdom. Today, we are at a very similar situation. We have to invent the wheel. We have to reinvent the wheel and take mankind into the new normal. The dictionary word, the dictionary does not contain the phrase new normal. This new normal is a gift of COVID to us. We will have to reinvent how we live so that we can get into the new normal. Now the question comes to our mind. Why is it that all these thoughts come only to caveman number 1 and not to caveman number 2? Is it that only caveman number 1 was creative and intelligent and others were not? Well, I don't have any record of it. There is no historical data available. But one thing I do know, if you look into the current situation, a minority are only using their creative ability. The use of creative ability, applied creativity, is what we call as intelligence. Let's see what goes to show that only a minority are using it. Only 6% of the world people, that is 42 million people, have cornered 39.3% of the world wealth. It means that 42 million people only are so intelligent, capable, and able to leverage the advantages available to them, that they have cornered 39.3 million of the world's wealth. And another 4.4%, that is 311 million people, have cornered 32.3%. That means 5% of the world population, the current world population, have cornered 72% of the wealth. In other words, the balance 95% have got 28% of the wealth and are struggling to make both ends meet. That is the unfortunate truth. But destiny and God did not will that. That was not his plan. His plan was that each and every person is born equal, be it in the Stone Ages, in the prehistoric time, or today. Children were always very creative. You can see here this child, full of happiness, joy, creativity, the ability to do things. But as he grows up, he becomes worried, tense, sorrow, pain, suffering. He becomes a pain not just for himself, but for society. Just 5%. And I presume the same situation must have been there, because caveman number 2 asked caveman number 1, if you are going to invent everything, then what are the others going to do? That means even at that time, based upon the type of population that must have been there, the ability to innovate and invent was with only a few people. We see here caveman number 1 telling caveman number 2, don't worry, I can envision that there are so many more things to come, like bridges, musical instruments, rockets, painting, so many things are to come. Don't worry, there will be a lot of things for people to do. But today, all these things have been found already. Plus, added to that, COVID has come and sat down. Restricted us tremendously, huge constraints, huge, enormous constraints. Money does not mean anything anymore. Because where will you go and use your money? COVID has robbed you of all opportunities. No, my dear friends, things are not all that bad. It is not as dark as it looks. Let us see why it is not so. To understand it, we have to understand the world as it is today. What is today is what is visible to us, that is the consumption economy. What we call the consumption economy alone is visible to us. That means whatever is around us is the consumption economy. And you can see here, it is just the tip of the iceberg. Then what is the major portion of the iceberg? What is the major portion of the iceberg is the non-consumption economy. That part of the economy which is yet to be born. You must be wondering what I'm talking. This consumption economy is run by 2 types of innovation, called the sustaining innovation and the efficiency innovation. This consumption economy is run by 2 types of innovation, called the sustaining innovation and the efficiency innovation. But the non-consumption economy is the place which is targeted by the market creating innovation. And when there is a market creating innovation, there is a massive boom in the consumption economy. We will see how. The type of innovation which drives sustaining and efficiency innovation is called directional innovation, while the type of innovation which drives market creating innovation is called intersectional innovation. In this webinar, we will understand how the consumption economy was affected by sustaining and efficiency innovation. Now, when we talk about consumption economy, automatically one country should spring to our mind. The country which is the largest consumer today. Yes, friends, can any one of you tell me which is the largest consumer of the world? Which country is the largest consumer? Please, can any one of you unmute and tell me?
Yes, USA.
Who is it?
Mr. C.B. Rao.
Mr.
C.B. Rao.
Absolutely right. It is the United States of America. But let us not forget that in the late 19th century and the early 20th century, that is during the period of 1860 onwards, 1880, 1890 onwards, still around 2000, 1910, 1912, USA was also a country which was developing. It was not the richest country in the world as it is today. It was not the preferred destination of the world population. It was also struggling. It had its share of problems. And one person, along with a few others, made a big difference to the US economy and changed it into what it is today. Let's see who that person was. Can any one of you recognize him?
He's Henry Ford.
Who is that?
Sanjay.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Bang on target. Henry Ford. What did Henry Ford do which kick-started the economy of the United States of America and made it into what it is today? He had this automobile company, and in the years 1902 to 1906, Henry Ford was busy going from bank to bank with a begging bowl, asking for finance to support his venture. And he was turned down by all bankers because he did not have the collateral and the support, which bankers always ask. You know, in the chat box, Dr. Subhash Chandra Sahu, or the gentleman, Dr. Sahu, had mentioned that how can companies innovate when they don't have money? Dr. Sahu, possibly Henry Ford's experience could be an eye-opener. Henry Ford was also turned down by all bankers, that he did not have the financial might, he did not have the collateral support, he did not have the financial support, so he will not be given money. What an irony it is. You need to have money if someone has to give money. Somewhere around 1906 to 1908, Henry Ford happened to visit a meat packaging factory where he saw meat being conveyed from one place to another on a conveyor belt. Suddenly, a thought struck Henry Ford. He thought, why should my workers go to the components? What will happen if the components come to them? He created an assembly line, and that changed the history of Ford Motors. How much did it change Ford Motors is the proof that from 20,000 vehicles in 1909, it went up to 2 million by 1922. That's how much it changed. And this blast, this explosion of automobiles coming into the market had a tremendous impact on the US economy. What impact it had? It enabled roads, schools, hostels, suburbs, restaurant, construction, touring, oil refining, petrol pumps, vehicle finance, you name it. Everything started springing up all over the place because people started moving from one place to another in great ease. Just imagine, before an automobile, if people were asked what they wanted, they would have told you would want a faster horse. But with the automobile coming, people started moving all over the country, and Ford Motors single-handed enabled all these things. And what did it leverage? It leveraged all these industries: steel, glass, rubber, paint, cotton. All these were required for the manufacture and the movement of the automobiles which are being manufactured. And then it created so many jobs in so many areas across the country. It created jobs in management, finance, distribution, sales, advertising, everything. That means entire US, there was an explosion. In other words, from just 20,000 cars, the annual production in 1909, it went up to 2 million in 1922. And the price from $850 at that time came down to $360. It was possible for everyone to afford it. That was what this efficiency innovation did to a country. An entire country was kick-started on the path to growth and reached the top of the world. While this was happening in Michigan, Detroit, something else was happening in New York. What was happening in New York? Let's see. Recognize this person. Can you recognize this person? Anyone would like to hazard a guess? Anyone would like to hazard a guess, my dear friend? He has changed the way the world is. You and I are comfortable. The entire world population of 7 odd billion people are comfortable and living only because of him. Only because of him. His name is Willis Haviland. Does it strike a chord? Let me tell you. Willis Haviland completed his engineering from Cornell University and joined Buffalo Forges. Buffalo Forges was in New York. A few blocks away from Buffalo Forges, there was a company called Sackett and Williams. Sackett and Williams were the leading lithographers and printers in New York. They had purchased a state-of-art machinery and they were printing materials for the industry there. They were the #1 printers. But this state-of-the-art machinery was playing truant. It was not printing properly. Huge wastage was there, and the company was losing money at a phenomenal pace. The company which sold that product to them came and checked it. They found the product is perfect. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the state-of-art machinery. They tried for a long time to correct it. They could not. The losses were keeping on mounting and they were losing their reputation in the market. Ultimately, they approached Buffalo Forges and asked them whether they can help. Buffalo Forges sent their newly recruited Willis Haviland to see what can be done. Willis Haviland had a default design behavior. He was a brilliant fellow. And his default behavior was of a design thinker. He went. He first checked up the machinery. Very objectively checked it and found that there was absolutely no problem with the machinery. Then he checked up the people who are operating it, the professionals who are operating it, and found that they were experts and there was absolutely no problem with their capability in operating such a high-end machinery. Then he looked into the material which was being used for printing, and to his surprise, the material was also top class. He could find no fault with the material. So now the only thing which was left out was the environment. He started moving around the factory and suddenly realized that the problem was mainly because of the temperature and humidity. But the problem is, how do you handle Mother Nature? The temperature was different, the humidity was different in the morning as compared to afternoon, as compared to the evening. He was a worried man because the only solution to this was the temperature and humidity. 3 days of working, he could not find any solution. The entire team was working madly. They could not find any solution. On the third night, he was walking down the street towards Pittsburgh railway station, deep in thought, when far away, he saw a railway engine standing at the end of the platform. Something at the back of his mind was struggling to come out. Something from the subconscious was struggling to come out and express itself. As though drawn by a magnet, he started moving towards that engine. He kept on moving. He got onto the platform. As he moved into the fog, he froze, a smile on his face. He had found the solution. He came back and built the first air conditioner. In the center of the fog, he realized that it was possible to drive air through water vapor or water and dry the air, as well as he could control the temperature. The first air conditioner was built and it was installed in Saket and Williams in 1902. The beauty of it is, for such a earth-shaking invention, he was promoted by Buffalo Forges. Buffalo Forges lost an opportunity to capitalize on this. He filed for patent and received the patent on 2nd January 1906, resigned from that company and started his own company called Carrier Icon, because Willis Haviland's full name was Willis Haviland Carrier. Friends, just imagine what air conditioning has done to the world. Can any one of us dream of a life without air conditioning? Be it in domestic or commercial, anywhere, life is today controlled by air conditioning. In 1925, the first commercial use of air conditioning was done when Rivoli Theatre in New York they installed the air conditioning, and here is the advertisement which claims it. In 1931, Schultz and Sherman released the first domestic air conditioner. It was costing $10,000 to $50,000 per unit. And in 1953, 1 million air conditioners were sold in US alone. This was a market creating innovation. When the first air conditioning was installed in 1902, the cost was just a promotion. What must it have costed? But what was the impact of it? The impact is today, it is a $124 billion market. $124 billion. In 1918, it was a $102 billion market, growing at 9.9%. In 2020, it is a $124 billion. Industrial to commercial to domestic. These three were efficiency and sustaining innovations. But for that market creating innovation, which cost only a promotion, this would not have happened. That is how, when a small market creating innovation strikes the non-consumption market, the consumption market explodes. And that explosion sustains it for years on end. And this ratio will always remain. So friends, we don't need to worry at all. The area where we are operating, the consumption market, will keep on growing. And if any of us were to use creativity, innovation, and design thinking properly, we can even attack the market creating innovation area. To understand what this 124 billion means and what this 9.9% means, let us look at it from a different angle. International Monetary Fund maintains the record of the GDP of nearly 200 countries in the world. India is 5th, and after the, from Japan onwards, you will see the growth rate is very, very low. Whereas it is growing at, we are growing at this air conditioning market is growing at 9.9%, and 124 billion falls somewhere between Kuwait and Morocco. There are more than 150 countries behind him. 150 countries' GDP is behind the GDP of air conditioning market. That is the impact. That brings us to the question. A very, 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 very important question it brings us to. Is innovation a matter of inspiration, the flash of creativity? Or can a person be innovative by design and build a business, career, and life? This is a very important question. This question has to be answered. And what is the answer for that question? The answer for that question lies in the SRG group. What is this SRG group? The Special Research Group was formed by the United States Defense Department during Second World War. During Second World War, Allied planes were being shot down at a phenomenal pace. And Air Force was one of the main reasons by which the World War was being fought, and Air Force would be the decisive reason for either the Allied or the Axis forces to win. So the Defense Department of United States formed this special research group comprising of Jimmy, who is responsible for the, what do you call it, decision theory. Then we have Frederick Mosler, who opened the statistical department in Harvard University. Then we have got Wiener, who is the propounder of cybernetics, who gave cybernetics to the world. And we have got Milton Friedman, who was a Nobel Prize winner. And the fifth member of the team was Abraham Wald, by far the most intelligent of the lot. He was a mathematician and a design thinker by default. They were given the problem. And what are the problem they had to solve? The problem they had to solve was, how do you stop the planes from being shot down? How do you armor the planes so that the bullets will not affect it? They were faced with two problems. Armoring the planes was not a problem, but the problem was, if you armor the entire plane, it will not take off. It will become very heavy and it will not take off. And if you don't armor it, it will get shot down. And if you armor it reasonably, it becomes very slow and it becomes a sitting duck. This was the problem they had to solve. Abraham Wald and the team was very worried. They couldn't find no answer for it. One day, Abraham Wald decided that let me get inspiration by talking to the people who are affected by this. He went to the hospital. He thought he will meet a few pilots who were in those planes and take answer from them. But suddenly, what did he see? He saw that the entire hospital was filled up with soldiers who were shot all over the place. There was no place for the soldiers. They were lying on the floor all over the place. Shot soldiers were lying. He called a doctor and asked him, "What is this?" The doctor told him, they are the soldiers who have been shot in the battle, not just in the sky, but also in the ground. He said, they have been shot all over the place. The doctor said, no, there is one place where they have not been shot. He said, they have not been shot on the forehead. He said, why? He said, because anyone who has been shot on the forehead died on the spot and he was not brought to the hospital. Suddenly, it was a eureka moment for Abraham Wald. He came back and called all the members of the SRG group and brought them along with the big shots of the army and defense to the hospital and told them, look at these soldiers. They saw and they could understand nothing. Then he told them, do you see? These soldiers have been shot all over the place, but they are here. That means they came back. The people who did not come back were the ones who were shot on the forehead. So let us go back and check the plane again. They went back and checked that there was one portion of the plane where it was not shot. It was one part of the engine. There were no bullet holes. They armored that part of the engine and they sent the planes. You guessed it right, my dear friends. The number of planes being lost after that drastically fell down, came down. And the Allied forces won the war. And when the analysis was done, it was found that they had won the war with a margin of just 5%. That means 5% of the Allied forces plane were shot less than the Axis forces. And this is known today by the name of survival bias. In fact, it would not at all be an exaggeration if we were to say that Abraham Wald single-handed, without stepping into the battlefield or without firing a single bullet, had won World War II for the Allied forces. So what is this design thinking? We are talking about design thinking being a default behavior of Willis Havilland carrier. We are talking of design thinking being a default behavior of Abraham Wald. One man invents the air conditioner, other man wins the World War II single-handed. What is this thing called design thinking? Let us understand that. This is the definition of design thinking. Design thinking refers to the cognitive, strategic, and practical processes by which design concepts are developed for the innovation of products and services within businesses and social contexts. You are right. When I first read it, I kicked myself because I didn't understand a single word of what was written there. The problem is then how do we understand design thinking? Because all these super intelligent people tend to explain things in such a way that we will not understand it. Let us see. Let me try to explain to you design thinking the way I understood it. This is a pot. All of us know that. And this is a clay on which the potter is working. The potter works on the clay to create the pot. The clay is the substantial cost. Clay is what is converted into a pot. By what? By the expertise of the potter, which is the complementary cost. That means the clay, which is a substantial cost, is worked upon by the potter, which is the complementary cost, and the outcome, the effect is the pot. Clay is creativity. The substantial cost is creativity. Design thinking is the complementary cost, and effect is the innovation. When you work on clay, that is your creativity, with design thinking, the outcome is innovation. The question is it possible for all of us to become design thinkers? To answer that question, I would like you to identify this person. Can any one of you identify him? Again, you see, there is not a single person in this gathering who has not seen this person or not enjoyed this person. Can anyone identify him? No response? Okay, let me help you. Now you will definitely identify who he is. He is this person. He is Christopher Reeve, the person who played the role of Superman. In 4 movies, he made so much of money that he could buy Hollywood out. That is the amount of money he made with his role as Superman in the Superman series, Christopher Reeve. He was also a very capable rider. He loved riding. In one of those days when he was riding, he happened to fell off the horse and broke 2 vertebral columns and became paralyzed for life. Down the neck, he was paralyzed. Doctors told him that he will never recover anymore. Everything was over. But Christopher Reeve was made of much sterner stuff. He spent the entire money to ensure that he recovers and comes back. And come back he did. He started Christopher Reeve and Dana Reeve's Paralysis Foundation. He nearly came back to normal life. Of course, he had certain disabilities. He came back so much, he recovered so much that the Daily News printed a column that paralyzed Superman star told news of plans to launch his new film carrier. He convinced the world that it is possible to recover from paralysis. It was at that time, neuroplasticity was also a very interesting subject. He made a very, very big impact, an impact so big that here you see Barack Obama giving his opening speech on signing a legislation of Christopher Reeve and Dana Reeve's Paralysis Act, which will ensure that no United States citizen ever suffers because of this. Just a minute, just.
Front for which many Americans have long waited. And the Christopher and Dana Reeves Paralysis Act is the first piece of comprehensive legislation specifically aimed at addressing the challenges faced by Americans living with paralysis.
So the question that you need to ask is not whether you can reclaim your creativity, whether you can become innovative, whether you can create default, design thinking as your default behavior. This is not the question you need to ask. The question you need to ask is, do you really want to build your life? Is your family and personal growth your priority? Friends, remember, the COVID pandemic has engulfed us, and we are going to come out of it successfully into the new normal. So building your life in the new normal is going to require a very good understanding and expertise of creativity, innovation, and design thinking. When I say your family and your personal growth, I mean not just your personal growth, but the personal growth of your children and your grandchildren who we have brought into this world. If the answer to both these questions is yes, then I think you should join this masterclass. The masterclass, Creativity and Innovation, where we discuss creativity, innovation, and design thinking, practical use cases and application areas to deliver breakthrough results. What does it contain? It contains, it will start with understanding your creative profile, go on to understanding where, how, and why your creative drive and abilities were got suppressed, because your default setting is creativity as a child. Somewhere in your growing process, in your education process, it got suppressed. We will discuss step by step the roadmap to reclaiming your creative power. You will understand frames and biases as taught by Daniel Kahneman, the research scientist who got a Nobel Prize in 2002 for these very studies. You will understand what are frames and biases, strategies to identify and navigate and overcome them. You will understand the 7 creative mindsets that we discussed: the absorb mindset, the envision mindset, the connect mindset, the transform mindset, the flow mindset, the reason mindset, and the evaluate mindset, the 7 mindsets. We will understand what they are, how to balance them, how to develop them. We will also understand the creative process through which you will be going, how to channelize this creative process and integrate and initiate this process in your life. This will be the first 4-day masterclass of creativity, innovation, and design thinking. The next 4 days will be innovation, where you will be discussing and understanding innovation beyond definition. Like again, the design thinking definitions are highly misleading. We will understand it beyond the definition. Why innovation is necessary. The different types of innovation, as we have seen, the different types of innovation, the efficiency innovation, the sustaining innovation, the market creating innovation, the directional innovation, the intersectional innovation. What are they? How do they operate? Where do you use them? You will also understand where to focus your innovative efforts. One day in the morning, you just cannot get up and say, I'm going to innovate today. That's not how things are done. There are places, focal points, nodal points where you need to focus your innovative efforts. Like Miss Meera was telling, mitigating risk in innovation is what they do, because innovation can mean a huge loss of resources, time, money, people. If you don't know which type of innovation to apply, where to apply, what is the model through which you have to apply, and what are the action plans in it, everything will go down the drain. It will be a waste of time, waste of energy, waste of money, waste of resources. It can be a drain on any industry or individual. So you need to know where to focus your efforts, what efforts to focus. You will understand the adoption strategies. That is what I said. There are adoption strategies. What are those adoption strategies? You will understand the innovation model, and finally, you will learn how to apply the practice of innovation into your life. These will be the next 4 days. And the final 4 days will be design thinking. It will start with understanding, again, design thinking beyond definition, design thinking mindset. What sort of a mindset you need to have. Here also we will start with an audit. We will do an audit of the participants and understand whether they are ready. What is their level of readiness for design thinking? Where do we need to concentrate on them to strengthen their design thinking capabilities and develop it? Design thinking action plan, you will understand. You will understand the integration of the mindset with the action plan. How the brain works, this you will understand, because that is how design thinking you will have to drive. You will understand the adaptive opportunism, the theory of adaptive opportunism in design thinking, ethnography in design thinking, what is visualization and what is the importance of visualization in design thinking. The elements of a design brief. After all these things, you will be taught how to write a design brief, how to audit the design brief, to understand whether the elements of the problem and the solution have been correctly defined so that your roadmap will be good. Then the first step will come, the discovery process. How do you identify the problem? The problem as it should be identified. Let us take a step and go and understand the discovery phase, what it contains. The discovery phase starts with questioning the driver in design thinking. There are 3 different stages where you have to question. Then the persona, how do you build a persona? Persona is a very, very important concept in design thinking. And this is what drives design thinking. Then you have the empathy map. As Ms. Meera was telling, design thinking is all about being empathetic. It's a human-centric process where you have to understand the person who is at the center of the problem. How do you draw an empathy map? What is the customer journey? In innovation, the customer journey is very important because the touch points are the areas where you need to focus your innovative processes so that you can innovate and give a better customer experience. This journey will take you to the customer experience pyramid. As you enhance the customer experience through escalation through the pyramid, you will automatically find that your customers become happier. Customer need not necessarily be in a commercial context only. A customer is anyone with whom you are interacting. Then the context map, in which context you are doing it. The problem is always addressed in a context. Today, the context is COVID. But COVID need not be the context always. Into the new normal, when COVID has become a bygone, a history, still the new normal will have context in which you will have to iterate, as Meeraji was telling, iteration, that is step-by-step improvement that will be required. And for that, context is very important, and context loses sense in the absence of the opportunity map. Context and opportunity map go side by side. All these will constitute the discovery phase. Just one aspect. The first aspect, the discovery phase, that will lead us to the, then it will lead us to the define phase, the ideation and concept building phase. Again, you will learn the methodology, the pitfall, structure, and implementation for successful ideation. Just sitting down in a group and, saying that we are going to brainstorm is only waste of time. Here you will learn what is the methodology for ideation, what are the pitfalls in doing it without knowing what the structure is, and how do you implement it successfully. What are stimulus and assumptions? How is it responsible in call to action? How do you roll out the ideation process based upon stimulus and assumption? How do you create stimulus? How do you test the assumptions? Concept development and design criteria. How do you create a design criteria and a napkin pitch based on which the concept is developed? Then the third phase, from there you will reach the hypothesis phase, the what wows phase, where you will select one of the ideas which you have got, and then do a hypothesis testing, and rapid prototyping. You learn the important aspects of prototypes, storytelling for prototype testing, how through a story, living through the persona, you will be able to test the prototype which you have created. The fourth phase is how will you evaluate whether the solution that you have found is workable and you can take it to the market. It is at this stage, one of the most important aspects of design thinking comes into effect, that is co-creation. You will co-create your product with your customer. And what is the methodology of teaching? The methodology is, first, each and every class of 4 days will begin with an audit. We will test you to find out what is your creativity quotient today. That means you will not be telling the answer to me. You will make a note of it yourself. You will make a note of how ready you are and how innovative you are, and you will make a note of how ready you are to learn design thinking. From there, you will go to case study approach to internalizing through elaborate explanation with examples and exercises. The entire program will be driven through examples and exercises. You will be facilitated, your understanding will be facilitated with quiz, and you will be co-creating along with your participants. And finally, you will have a 3-month one-on-one hand-holding with me to help you understand and internalize the whole process, so that the whole thing will become internalized in you and you will become a subject matter expert. Because of this hand-holding, the number of participants are very limited, because we have to spend time individually with you. And what are the benefits? You will learn to balance and cogently develop a holistic creative mindset, how to reframe current limiting beliefs and attitudes and create a liberating value system. You will learn to meet challenges effectively and enhance the quality of your life. You will understand the practical everyday life, what is innovation and why it is necessary. Innovation at the 4 levels of individual, team, leadership, and organization. You will be internalizing design thinking process and create a default design thinking behavior. You will develop a structured approach to life and its challenges, and finally learn how to create products, services, and experiences that will delight your customers. This 12 days program is split into 3 parts. The first creativity program is from day after tomorrow, 19th, that is for 4 days, 19th to 22nd February. The innovation program is for 4 days from 26th February to 1st March. Incidentally, tomorrow I am doing an innovation masterclass for 1.5 hours, where I will be taking a portion of these 4 days and I will be doing it tomorrow. I request you all to attend. I have already done a portion of creativity and a portion of design thinking in my leadership courses in the last 2 weeks. Tomorrow is the innovation masterclass. A portion of these 4 days I am going to be doing tomorrow as a sample to show you what exactly the course will look like. The program tomorrow is entitled Innovation, a Masterclass. The invite will be sent to you. Please join. Divergence plus convergence is equal to disruption. Design thinking, the course will be for 4 days, 5th to 8th March, evening 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. All these courses will be from 7 to 9:30 p.m. Creativity will be for 4 days, 19th to 22nd. Innovation will be for 4 days, 26th to 1st March. Design thinking will be for 4 days, 5th to 8th March. All these are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of the respective next 3 weeks. The same program or similar program is being offered by an international university for $2.75. That is the $3,500 or 2.75 lakhs. Here, for one of the modules, if any one of you feel that you want to do only design thinking or only innovation or only creativity, the price is 5,000 rupees. If you want to do two of the three, the price is 9,000 rupees. And if you want to do all the three, the price is 11,000 rupees. You can select any one of them. You can select either creativity or innovation or design thinking. The price will be 5. You can select creativity and innovation, creativity and design thinking, or innovation and design thinking. The price will be 9,000. If you decide to attend all the three classes, the price will be 11,000. What will you get in addition to these courses? 3 months of free consultation. You will have one-on-one, you can have hand-holding and ensure that you learn the whole thing. Monthly get-together will be there. Every month, one day get-together will be there. In that get-together, I will be conducting a class of 1 hour on a subject associated with these three as an extension of this. A checklist will be provided to you so that you will not miss any of the steps. A detailed notes will not be given. A checklist will be given, highlighting all the vital points so that you can follow that checklist, and you will be given the full video recording of the program. This video recording combined with the checklist will ensure that you can revisit the program at your convenience in your home whenever you want and continue to learn with the assistance of my handholding. You will receive a certificate. For professionals, this certificate will be invaluable in the sense whenever you produce this certificate to an interview board, they will automatically start questioning you on creativity, innovation, and design thinking, and you will floor them and get the job. And for employers, this will be a reminder that you should not fall back upon methodologies which do not work. Let us not forget that 70% of the companies close down in 10 years' time for the simple reason that they do not innovate, they are not creative, or they are not human-centric. They don't apply design thinking. Today, you have got an opportunity as an employer to assimilate all these in your way of life and build a really good corporate. And finally, friends, it is an excellent opportunity to network with like-minded people and take your career forward. The course fee for Dubai and other countries is $155. For Singapore, it is $210, and for India, it is 11,000 rupees. The registration part does not apply because it was only valid till 16th. Today, we are just 1 day away, so you can straight pay the amount that you are, the fees for each of the module is, and register yourself.
This includes GST.
Yes, this includes GST. This is inclusive of GST. You don't have to pay GST separately. Grab this opportunity to become creative and innovator and a design thinker, because this will help you develop a stance in the context of the pandemic, provide you with the tools to help you on the way to designing an enviable life experience. Please click on the pay you link and register by paying 5,000, 9,000, or 11,000. Thank you for your patience. I am open for questions. For one module, it is 5,000 including GST. For two modules, it is 9,000 including GST. And for three modules, 11,000 including GST. All the three pay you links are being put in the chat box. Mr. Durga Prasad?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Mr. Durga Prasad?
Yes.
Have you put it in the chat box?
Yes, I have put.
Thank you. You can click the link, make the payments, and you will be inducted in the group which has been formed of people who have already registered. If there is any question, please feel free to ask me.
So typically in a class, how many people will be there?
There will be around 40 people, participants will be there, plus my team of 3 or 4 people who will be helping them.
Okay, sir.
Any questions?
Will you be getting material also? Like
You will be getting the entire video recording of the module that you are going to be attending. If you attend all the 3 modules, you will get the entire video recording of all the 3 and an exhaustive checklist for each of these.
Okay.
Because you see, written notes are of no use. What you require is a checklist to see whether the processes are being sequentially followed or not.
Yes.
Plus, you will get the entire recording. The course will be totally recorded and the recording will be given to you. The recording will be available only to those participants who register and join the course for the modules for which they register and join the course.
Actually, sir, this today's we had some network issues here.
I will send you the recording. You can put your WhatsApp number. I will send you the recording. No issue.
WhatsApp number on the chat or to you?
You in the chat you put. Don't put to me in personal. You put in the. What's your good name, sir?
My name is Sanjay.
Yes, Mr. Sanjay. Put it in the chat. The WhatsApp number. We will send it to you.
Okay.
I'm open for questions.
I put my number, sir.
Thank you. I'll send it to you.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any questions, please?
And sir, tomorrow's link you will be putting in Top League.
I will be put. Are you a member of any of my groups?
In Top League, I am there.
Top League number, which one? Top League 1, 2.
1 minute.
Which one?
I'll tell you. I don't.
I will send it to you in this WhatsApp number. No issue.
Okay.
You see, we have got around 3,700 members under Top League, under various groups, employee engagement program.
Sir, I'm in Top League Excellence 1.
Okay.
Top League Excellence 1.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I will be putting it in that group also. All the groups will receive tomorrow's link.
Okay, sir.
Please do attend. You will get an idea as to what the innovation main program is going to look like.
Okay, sir.
Because you see, all these 3 phrases, creativity, innovation, and design thinking, are a much maligned word. And we have to first break the myths associated with it before people can feel comfortable. Design thinking is not a very difficult thing. It's just, design thinking is not thinking, it is doing. How you do something is what design thinking all about.
Sir, in this government offices and all, they use design thinking for decision making. For decision making. I mean, not here, maybe other countries or.
You see, design thinking is extensively used by most successful companies like Amazon, Apple, Intel, Microsoft. They all use design thinking.
Most of them
IDEO is the #1 consultant in design thinking.
Most of them, what you mentioned, are all technical. Like non-technical, I am asking about. Like
design thinking has got nothing to do with technical.
Okay.
It has got nothing to do with. See, design thinking is a process. Whether you are involved in technology, or you see, Amazon. Okay, they have a technology platform through which they operate. True.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what is technical about what they are doing? They are an online shop. That's all.
Yes, sir. What you have told about
who's speaking?
Thinking is Praneeth, sir.
Praneeth.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
What you have told us about design thinking is absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Sir,
very happy to hear that.
Sir, one small thing which I want to check with your course is you have equally assigned 4 days to each.
Yes.
To creativity, to innovation, and design thinking.
So what does that mean?
So does it mean that there is an equal weightage to all, or like generally what we have? I mean, maybe my limited understanding that design thinking should be more. More hours on that, and creativity and creativity is just an idea about different disciplines coming together. So that's all.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
You want to make a pot.
Pot, flower pot.
Pot, any pot,
Okay.
any clay pot. How much clay will you take?
Depending on the size of the pot.
So you see, and then how much expertise will you use on it?
How much expertise? That, depending upon my skill, how much? If I'm
Depending upon not just your skill, depending upon the quality of the pot that you require.
yes, quality definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So now which is important in all these things? The clay, the expertise, or the pot?
Expertise is important.
All three are important. With your expertise, can you make a pot without a clay?
I mean, material is required.
So, okay. Material, when acted upon by your expertise, will only give you the output, isn't it?
Sir, I was only asking about the time element. Like equally.
No, there is no question. Equally, each one of them, when you attend the course,
Okay,
you will realize that each one has got tremendous relevance.
Okay, sir.
Tremendous. Please don't think creativity is a joke. You and I are here only because our default behavior is creativity.
Okay, sir.
Somewhere along the line, Mr. Sanjay, we have suppressed it. That is why we have this rigidity. You will not find any rigidity in a child. Rigidity is there only in people, in adults. Why?
Because we are conditioned.
You answered it. Now you have to decondition yourself. How do you do it? Creativity is the foundational subject for everything. Without being creative, where will you apply your design thinking? How will you learn design thinking?
Okay.
Design thinking is a process which is going to work on creativity. If you take all the clay from the potter and tell him, use your creative ability, your expertise, and make a pot for me, will he be able to do it?
Okay.
He will never be able to do it. You require the raw material for it, isn't it?
Yes.
You see, when China was hit with the COVID in January, India was severely hit. You know, Tirupur, which is the hub of textile in India, they nearly went into a shutdown in February because raw material was not available. Most of the raw material was coming from China. Why? Because China was shut.
Shut down. Yeah.
Raw material was not there. What will they do with all the looms and all the expert weavers?
Correct.
Yes, Mr. Praneeth, can you ask your question, Mr. Praneeth?
Sir, I am studying 9th class.
Very good. Excellent. Tell me, Praneeth.
Sir, I have tuition from 6 to 7. At what time will the webinar starts?
7.
Okay, sir. Thanks for information. Thank you.
Thank you. Praneeth, are you on the line?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You don't need to pay anything. You are in free.
Okay, sir.
Free. Mr. Durga Prasad, take Mr. Praneeth's number and send him an invite to join the course for free.
Sure.
Thank you,
The
sir.
only
Thank you, sir.
condition is
Thank you,
Praneeth,
sir.
you should attend every day.
Okay, sir. Pakka, sir.
You have to learn because it is people like you who are the future of this country.
Thank you, sir.
Where are you from?
I am from AP, sir.
Andhra Pradesh, which place?
Chilkalurpeta.
Chilakulurpeta. Oh, very near to Guntur, between Narsaraopeta and Guntur, right?
Yes, Guntur district.
Guntur district. Yes, I have been there. It's a lovely place. Good. You join, Praneeth. You're in free. You don't have to pay anything. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I will add you to the group. Mr. Durga Prasad will add you. And day after tomorrow at 6:45, you log in. Or
Okay,
5 minutes to 7, you log in at least. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Nice gesture, sir, for young minds. You are, nurturing them. It's your, your generosity, sir, I should say.
It's not a question of generosity, Mr. Sanjay. When I say that we have to guide the future generations into the new normal, that is why creativity, innovation, and design thinking is necessary. You really mean to tell me his 11,000 rupees is going to make a big difference? But he can make a big difference if he learns it.
Yes, sir. True.
That
Very
is
true, sir.
important. See, when I said a leading university is charging 2.75 lakhs,
Yes.
why am I charging 11,000 rupees?
Correct.
See, there are times, you know, I have a company to run and people don't value free things.
Yes.
So we have priced it.
Mhm.
But I can tell you one thing, Mr. Sanjay, if you attend this program, you will find the price has got no match to the value it has got. You see, we learn at a very young age to value price. That is the problem. We don't concentrate on the value. We look at the price.
Yes.
Yes, Praneeth, tell me.
Sir, can
Yeah, tell me.
I should pay any money for that course?
No, you need not pay any money for the course.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Praneeth, you share your number in the chat box. I'll make a note of it.
You
Sir,